Good afternoon, everybody. We got a cooker out here today, and we decided to come out here and get some work done on the garden. We're cutting off the tops of the posts. When we put them in the ground, they're all a little bit uneven, so we're cutting them off even, and we're welding on these really cool steel caps. I believe these are 1/8 of an inch thick, and they're 3.5 inches, and we ordered these online. They were actually pretty affordable, and to cut them, we're using 2 different methods. They're both working just okay. We're using the big grinder with the cutoff wheels. These are a couple that I've kind of destroyed. The other method we're using is right over here. We're using the big steel cutoff saw. Oh, this is the gas powered one, and this one, it works really good, but this is extremely heavy and it takes a while to cut through that pipe. We've got a bunch of stuff going on around the property. The reason we're over here right now, we were actually working on the shop, but the shop is getting spray foamed for the next few days, so we can't go over there. And we want to start putting in our greenhouse, and we got to cut all these posts before we put any of that greenhouse plastic up. When you use this saw, it shoots sparks everywhere. So we are exactly halfway done. I'm gonna see if we can make it through it today. It's pretty exhausting. Good day out here, a couple of mishaps. First, we lit our grass on fire. It was when we were using the big cutoff saw. That thing shoots these molten hot sparks like 40 feet. The next is our welder over here. I didn't notice this until we were done. Now that I think of it though, I did smell some burning earlier.
I smell burning too.
This is our little $100 welder. Actually, it was $90. I love this thing. We've completed a lot of big projects with it, but the positive lead on it, right there, right there. 18-inch section of it just started to melt. I don't even know what would cause that. We're running it pretty hard, but we always do. It is hot out here today. It's 82 degrees, so I'm gonna see if I can order another one of these or just maybe splice in a bigger set. We'll see.
We've made it to the end of July and we are finally getting ready to do a project that we definitely need to get done this summer, and that is going to be our greenhouse. We're not actually starting on it today. I think we're going to be starting tomorrow, hopefully, but we were in here last night and we noticed something that was absolutely shocking. So apparently we had a frost mid-summer, and I don't know how common that is. Before that, I was in here at night watering some stuff. Everything looked great. And then when we came back in yesterday, we were looking at our basil, and I'll show you what it looks like. We noticed that it didn't look very good. And I didn't know what the heck was going on with it because it kind of looked like frost damage. It kind of looked like a fungus, but I had just looked at it before and there was nothing going on with it. In fact, it looked awesome. Eric was saying it was kind of chilly the night before too, and he was joking that winter was coming. And sure enough, as we looked out into the garden, you know, over by the potatoes and over by the squash, which are also really sensitive to light frost, there's some damage. So this is really minimal damage. I wish I would have known because I would have probably picked these basils and made something with them. It's probably going to take them a little while to push through that bad growth, and I'm hoping that we don't have another frost. I don't think we should have another one. I mean, I would suspect September is usually when we have a frost. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. At our old place, I remember we had a frost. Our last frost is what they're called in the spring. We had one June 1st, I believe. Here, we've seen one as late as June 14th or like June 15th, which is really late if you think about that. And again, this is not necessarily a first frost. I would just consider this a middle of summer frost, which is wild.
Start with this post right here. We're gonna get it absolutely perfect. Then we're gonna go to that post there. We're gonna get absolutely perfect, buried and everything, the exact height that we need them. And then I'll dig my trench.
On each side? I didn't do the math.
32, so you're gonna have 16 of these on each side.
That's really good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
This is where it all begins. We're getting the corner posts in for the hoop house, and the corner posts are going to be extremely important for us. So we already had the corners marked out. This is 30 feet by 60 feet. We got one in where we want it, like exactly where we want it. Now this other front one we're working on, we need to make sure that it's plumb. We need to make sure that it's our 60 feet and our 30 feet, but we also need to make sure that the height of it, so right here, we need to make sure that this one is exactly the same as that one. And in fact, every single post is gonna have to be exactly the same. We're gonna be using our laser level to do that. I'm gonna set it up in the middle, and then we'll set this on that post over there. So it'll tell us exactly where, when I go like this up and down, that one is. That way when we come over here, I can put it here and it'll beep when this height of this one is exactly the same as that one. So let's set her up.
Okay.
So what we can do is just hold this.
Pop it up.
Let's slowly.
You hit it about 2
That's
2
it.
millimeters off.
That's it.
Oh, you're just gonna do by hand?
Just a little.
Last time when you did it, it worked perfectly. It just like that.
You ready for it then?
Yeah, I'm ready. Two tools that we have that are kind of nifty is this little level that is magnetic, so it's really easy to just stick to the poles or the posts and just see if they're level. And then I don't know exactly if this is called like a driver or not. We've seen the ones that are, you know, you kind of like use this motion to put the post on, which wouldn't work on our soil because it's too rocky anyways. But this is really cool. This came with the kit that we bought.
The way this greenhouse works is pretty much exactly how the one we built 4 years ago works. So you have these ground posts that go on the ground, and then you slide your hoops or your bows into here and you bolt them on. So we have challenges working with this rocky soil sometimes. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run this string from this post all the way to the other one over there that we have in. And this is basically where all of our ground posts are gonna go in right here. We have 16 of them to go on each side, and we're gonna run a mark with our spray paint, and then we're gonna put a mark the opposite way every 4 feet, and that's where our posts are gonna go. And we're doing this because we're basically gonna trench out this whole entire thing at 3 feet deep with the tractor, and then we'll know exactly where to put our post because we've marked every 4 feet. I wouldn't tie it or anything, but to get it nice and tight.
On the bottom or?
Yeah, tie it around the bottom, like in the center of the post. sure this don't come down.
The plan is we're using this double string method to get each of these posts where they need to be, level, like side to side, and then also top to bottom. We're going to use the holes as a reference point to make sure we're staying straight. We actually watched some really helpful videos online, and that was a little tidbit. These are the extendable ground posts, and they're 6 feet. 3 feet is going to the ground, 3 feet is going to be above the ground, and I think that's going to give us a 16-foot peak. Not sure, but we'll find that out soon enough. So we got to drive this one in probably like good 8 inches.
Just enough to hold it. What do you think? Is that good? Mission accomplished. We got 1 row in. Man, this wind is picking up. It's crazy out here today. But we ended up not really relying on the string for how far in the ground they are. So like if they were gonna sit here, we ended up using the laser level because this is 60 feet. And the string, no matter how tight you put it, it always seems to sag a little bit, but we've got them all just like perfect. Really happy with the way it turned out. Took longer than expected. Sometimes these holes, they'll have a rock that's about that big and it's just stopping everything. No matter how hard you pound, the post just wouldn't go in that like extra inch we needed. So we had to do a lot of digging. Right now we're doing a lot of filling. Goal for tonight is going to be get those other 2 corner posts in, and I'm gonna mark it out with paint, hopefully, and hopefully trench the whole thing. And then tomorrow we can come back out and we can get the other side done.
The wind broke our window.
Yes. Sucks.
Well, it was just super windy is what happened.
Okay, so that's good. She's there.
67 and 1 inch. Yeah, it's perfect. On that side. Keeps moving.
These are the end bows. There's a middle bow and then a ridge. So it's longer than those.
Oh, it's those piped over there.
Yeah,
That's what it
so
is.
we need those. We need these. Half middle bows. We need the ridge connectors.
This is our nor'easter Rimol manual for our greenhouse. Eric and I have put 3 greenhouses together. This is definitely the largest by any sort of comparison, and we're kind of refreshing our anatomy or our terminology. So we are moving on to the bows. There's bows every 4 feet. I don't know how many there are. 16, Eric says, and there's specific ones for the front wall and the back wall. And it looks like there's a few different actual pieces to make each bow. So there's these like middle components, and then you have, I'm gonna call it the peak, but the ridge connector, the one right on the top. This greenhouse has trusses. It makes it super strong, and it's also kind of a really cool component if you're planning on running plants vertically. It puts a lot of stress on the actual frame itself. Got a lot to do.
What's in here? More screws. Holy cow, this is a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of components, babe.
Go forward a little more with yours.
What happens is it gets too top heavy at the top.
Yeah, so you're not gonna be able to do that, right? Okay.
Right on.
Why don't I get the tractor and see if I can grab it with the forks?
Maybe put a piece of plywood? I could lift that with you, to be honest. What happens is it's like top heavy and wobbly, so it's just gonna, it's gonna not end well. It's gonna come down. It's literally like our Kwanzaa hut, you know, when we were putting the arches up. It's too flexible right now. Well, clearly that's not going our way. Eric's gonna see if he can make something to fixate something onto the tractor forks that will help us get that bow up there. So that's the bow assembly with the truss support, and runs like this horizontally, and then the truss bracing runs like that to connect the bow to the truss support. Got to figure out some sort of system because we have 16 of them to do.
Strap it to here. Grab it with that from the way top.
Okay, you want it that tall?
It needs to be that tall.
Oh.
Because the tractor doesn't lift that tall. Got it? Got it? Go down, go down, go down, go down. Right there. Lean it back on the pipe.
Don't let it go that way. Don't let it go that way. The tractor's too far.
Pull it back.
I'm trying, hon. There's wind.
Pull it back. You can.
Are you not going to let go of it?
I got it.
Oh! There's a chicken in the garden. How did that happen? Okay, grab your clothes and push it back a little now. Don't lift yours higher than me. Okay, or you can just do that.
Watch your hand doesn't get pinched in there. Okay, tilt it forward a little.
Mine's in.
I don't know if stop it now.
Yeah, the truss is, the support's a little bent, but yeah, it looks straight.
That second one.
No, it looks straight.
So should I tie it there or go back a little further with them?
No.
We're getting them up. We're getting pretty good at it, I think. So 4 of them are up. Arielle told me that's a quarter of the way, which doesn't really sound too good right about now. This has been extremely sketchy the whole entire time. We finished those posts in the ground and I was like, all right, that was the hard part. No, this is still pretty difficult. It's reminding me of when we built the 𝐋𝐢𝐻𝐸𝐷 hut. The wind today is not working in our favor. It is like, yesterday and today has been like the windiest days here so far, but we're gonna continue to build. Let's lay one on the ground and I'll show you how we're building them. We have as flat of a surface as we can in here, but it's not too flat. And these are the bows. They come like taped together. There is some marks on them. They're kind of faded right now. There's like black, green, red. You use those when putting things on here. So you take the 2. All right, you gotta flip them around and make your arch. So this is gonna be the peak or the top of the greenhouse. It's called the ridge connector, and it's gonna connect the one bow to the other one, and you do that with these splices. So this fits inside of these. It'll fit inside this one, it'll fit inside that one, and to connect them, we got lots of different bolts on this one, but this is a 2-inch or a 2.5-inch carriage bolt. Put that in there, take one of your nuts, take your impact. You want to get them tight, but not too tight. Arielle already broke one, so then you'll take this, slide it into there, get in there. Repeat the same thing on this side, and when you're putting the bolts in, we have to remember that we want this kind of smooth portion of the bolt on the outside. That's where the greenhouse plastic's gonna go. If you would have put it like that, you'd rip through your plastic. All right, so this one needs to bend down. Over on this end, we're actually gonna do this on both sides. We're gonna put some of these straps on here. These are for the bracing. We'll get there in just a second. Slide those up. Got another splice we're gonna put on the end of the bow, and what that's gonna do is when we go to put it up on our posts, it's gonna slide in there and then you can secure it to the ground. So let's slide this one in. Next, we've got the truss support. So this is gonna run like across the two arches and give them some strength. And then we've got the truss bracing, just more bracing. And these, you're actually gonna connect these. So they call this a swedge. It's the metal's tapered, so it's smaller than this and it slides right in. On this one, you gotta put some more of these straps before you do that. To secure these together, we're gonna use something that they call the tech screw. I just call it like a sheet metal screw or a self-tapping screw. You wanna put 2 of those in there. Whoa. What's going on here? This one's walking. Okay, there's one. There we go. This is where we're gonna use our 2 straps that we just put on earlier. So the one is gonna go down here on this very faint green line, or it's blue or something. That's where they want it. So we'll go there, slide this in the middle. Then we'll move up just a little and we're gonna put in our little brace that's gonna connect the arch down to this little cross support we just put in. So it wants it right on top of the green. And then we'll take our strap that we put down here and just like that. It's taken us about 10 minutes to build one of these on the ground, and then it's taken us about 10 minutes to get it actually up, which ain't too bad. One thing I will note, it said in the instructions to leave all these bolts just finger tight. We did that on the first one. It didn't turn out good, so it's been helpful for us to tighten these down. That way this little, this arch is a little more rigid when we're working with it. Didn't realize it until we went and put that first arch up, but these arches are extremely heavy. It's pretty thick metal. The instructions say, just with 2 people, grab an end and you just put them in there. And it just shows a picture of 2 guys putting them in. It looked pretty simple. It is not simple, they're heavy. You saw us drop them. It's difficult to do, so I built this little jig. At first, I was just gonna like pick it up from the peak and try to set it in there. It didn't work, it's way too wobbly. Now all we're really using the tractor for in that post is just to kind of get it as high as we can, and then we're just leaning it against it so we don't lose it. And then we just go on each side and lean it against the pipe, set it in, and it seems to be holding pretty well. Let's get this one in.
Got yours?
Yep.
Gotta guess the wind coming our way. Oh, I guess I did need to go more forward.
Yeah, well.
I got mine in. I'll do yours.
No, I can't get it.
You want a hammer or anything?
Right there.
Ready?
Yep.
Quick, dragging me that way. Woo! Okay. Well, although we're making progress, it seems like we still have a lot of work cut out for us. Yesterday, when Eric and I got inside for the night, we were watching a video series on putting a high tunnel like this or a greenhouse like this together. It's really actually informative, more so than our manual, because we realized that we made a few mistakes. Nothing too major, but when you're framing in your end walls, there's different options. We're going to be doing lumber. You don't want the truss support there. So the manual instructs you to actually put the truss bracing and the truss support on the first arch or the first bow, but we actually don't need it there because it's going to get in the way down the road. So Eric removed that this morning. Eric also realized that the truss bracing, so these little short braces were supposed to run on a red line, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the black line. So we needed to shift that. He did that all by himself this morning. Everything has to go in a specific area. The purlins go on the green line that we were referring to earlier. So he's got everything organized out here. We also discovered that we have some extra bracing that we didn't know we had. So our kit has the high wind bracing. We got the last bow up and it's like midday, but we are going to try to get the purlins up today too.
The warehouse. Can nothing be easy on this greenhouse? I'm really high in the air right now.
It looks like it's got to go over more.
It's right there, I see it. There we go.
It looks straight and maybe could go back a little. No, I think it looks straight the way you had it. What it is the bows are just the bends are a little, Can I ask you a serious question? How are you planning on screwing the two pipes together up there?
What you have to do is you got to put an end in that one, and then the bolt has to go through both those and then through the thing.
I untie your string because that's gonna cause some complications.
We're about halfway across the high tunnel and we've just installed part of our ridge purlin, and it is support that's kind of connecting every single one of these bows. We're gonna do different purlins on here, but this one is the only one that actually bolts into every single one of these hoops. So when you're grabbing parts, you gotta make sure you got the exact one you need. It's actually not too bad. Well, it's pretty bad. You gotta go up really high on this ladder. It's windy, but we're gonna get it done. And we did confirm with the measuring tape that our peak is about 15.5 feet. So we are way up here. Thankfully, this is the tall one. So once we get this one completely in, we'll start working our way down the sides. Those will be lower, a little easier to do. There'll be 2 more purlins that run the length on each side of the greenhouse. Let me move over one spot here.
That's her, hun.
She's up there now, though. She ain't moving.
She's not going anywhere.
They're connected, you know what I mean? The rest of the purlins are gonna be different than those top ones. These ones are only gonna have 1 bolt on the far side. So we're gonna put a bolt through it, and we're gonna bolt on that far end wall. We're gonna put these inside of the high tunnel now, and then at every single bow, we're gonna use these aluminum cross connectors, kind of these funky looking pieces of metal. They're gonna strap around this, strap around the bows. There is marks up there. Unfortunately, we bought our high tunnel a little while ago. It sat out in the sun, so the marks are really hard to see. But we're gonna get this one started back there, work our way forward, see what we can get done. This will connect the end bow with the carriage bolt and nut, and the purlin should be placed on the underside of the bow. Okay, we got that. See, he's at the front and his is bolted in. Unless he's at the back. No, he's at the back, working his way forward.
Yeah, one more. Under that one right here. See it under there?
You start them with these, you end them with that. That's not in the manual. So let's just shove this in here for now. All right, hand me those cross supports. All right, how does one person do this? Okay, let's check our 4 foot. Look at that, perfectly 4 feet. Move to the next one. As we're putting these purlins up, since they don't have holes drilled in them, we're gonna rely on this guide right here. And honestly, I didn't even know this was a guide. I thought it was a broken piece of pallet, but it gives you 4 foot on center with these 2 little grooves right here. And every time you put these straps on, you wanna put it on top. As you can tell, we're off a little on this one. So all you do is you pull it your way, or whatever it needs to go. It sits in that little groove. Now that puts these bows exactly 4 feet apart. I've just been kind of holding it in there. There we go, next one.
While Eric's working on that last purlin, I am going to harvest us some food for dinner. I don't know what time it is, but I think we're gonna be saving the rest of the framework until tomorrow. How do you want to get this past it? You're gonna have to stretch it.
I've already moved all these, so I'll move that one too. No big deal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me tighten this one, and then it'll tell us exactly where that one's gonna go. No, it doesn't show you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right. Another day working on the greenhouse. We are putting in the wind bracing, which is pretty much the last step of the frame, or at least what the kit came with. We mentioned at this point that the manual is a little bit skimpy on some of the instructions, including this portion that we're doing right now. So the wind bracing is to help with some of those lateral forces like wind. We've got the 2 braces or supports on each corner up, and we're going to move to the top ones, which is the extra high wind bracing. And there's 4 of those. It's a little hard to describe, but they run diagonally from the peak down towards the purlin, the last purlin that's lowest down. We've got to get all of those up, and after that, we are going to celebrate with a little bit of a cookout. What's a cookout? A dinner? We're celebrating with dinner.
Okay, so I want you to put them right below these bolts. So that's where we're going to start.
That's where it wants you to start? You got lots of energy.
No, I don't.
We're taking advantage of some of the produce we have ready right now, and we're gonna make ferments. So we're trying 2 different things. We're gonna do a hot sauce, and we're gonna be fermenting some peppers and other ingredients. We've tried it before. Someone made it and gifted it to us, and it was delicious. So we're gonna try that. And then we're also going to make just like another vegetable snacking ferment, kind of like sauerkraut's, like a topper, something along the lines of that. But we're using Swiss chard stalks. I always find that I grow too much, and the chickens do like it, but we really can't keep up with it, and they can't even keep up with it free ranging. So this just idea like popped into my head. I think it's gonna turn out pretty good. We've got to get a lot chopped up so we can get those going, and then we can work on dinner. That's gonna be the first ferment. It is some red onion, fennel, the Swiss chard, some peas, and some kohlrabi, and we're gonna add dill and basil. Fermenting is super simple. We have kosher salt. I prefer to use that. I do have some sea salt because I think I'm gonna run out of the kosher salt. But I have 2 cups of warm water right here. I'm gonna start with that for the brine because I don't know exactly how much I'm gonna use. But generally we use about 1 to 3 tablespoons per quart of water. So just kind of depends. I'm probably gonna do a full 2 tablespoons on this batch. There we go. A little stir. The hot sauce is going to be a combination of serrano, jalapeno, and some other random peppers. I think even bell peppers. I've got onions and green onions going into that, and cilantro as well. We grew garlic and it didn't do that well, so I still have to figure out what we did wrong. But Eric went ahead and pulled up the bulbs. You can see they're pretty small, they're still a little immature, and we're gonna be throwing this into the mix as well. For the hot sauce ferment, it does not matter what size we chop the vegetables because we are going to be blending this down the road. And Eric already mixed our brine. It is 2 tablespoons of kosher salt with 4 cups of water. And I do not have any sort of weight, little glass weight, to keep the vegetables under the brine. We've been fermenting for years and I've just never needed them. I usually keep a close eye on them. They're gonna go inside the cabin and get nice and bubbly over the next few weeks.
Gosh, every time. For dinner, we're gonna use up those Swiss chard leaves. This is a recipe we've been making for probably 10 years, but it uses collard greens, but we're gonna use the Swiss chard. It's called kickin collard greens. It also uses bacon. We don't have bacon. We got something even better. We got black bear burger. This is our first year with a pretty good supply of bear meat. It makes the best burgers. Be good in this. All kinds of good stuff in there tonight. So we've got the bear meat, onion, garlic. We just put in some broccoli, a couple spicy peppers. So this is supposed to be a pretty spicy meal. Sometimes we do red pepper flakes. And now we're gonna add all of our greens. Okay, and the key ingredient, some really good chicken broth. And we're gonna put a lid on this and cook it down for quite a while, probably 20 minutes or half an hour.
I'm pretty sure sea broth means caribou broth.
Is that caribou broth?
It's caribou broth.
It is caribou broth. I thought it was C for chicken. I meant to grab chicken broth. Veggies from the garden and caribou broth. That's a healthy meal right there. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Got an awesome dinner. This project, if you couldn't tell, is going to take us a little bit longer than we first anticipated. So we'll pick back up on it soon, I hope.
Yeah, I thought this project was going to be something else.
You were saying we get it done really quick.
It's something else. I thought it was just going to be like a big shelter project. It's not. This is going to take a long time.
Is it spicy?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that yet. I haven't gotten the kickin.
Mmm.
The flavor's really good.
Love some veggies out of the garden.
I mean, what does it matter? Just pretend winter's not coming. I mean, can't be bad.
Well, we already had a frost, so more to come.